When you go to the doctor with a stomach ache or a sharp pain in your knee, you just tell them where it hurts. They ask a few questions, you answer, and they immediately narrow down the problem. But when Pancham, a rescued Royal Bengal tiger, suffers from severe dental pain, he can't point to his jaw. He just stops eating. For decades, this has been the central barrier in animal rescue. Veterinarians have been forced to rely on visual observation and educated guesswork because their patients simply can't speak up. That dynamic is changing inside a 3,500-acre wildlife rehabilitation campus in India called Vantara. Instead of relying purely on traditional observation, Vantara is deploying AI, environmental sensors, and advanced lab equipment to act as a translator, turning silent biological data into a voice for the animals. Understanding a rescued animal's physical health is hard enough, but decoding their psychological stress is nearly impossible with the naked eye. So, the care teams here use continuous AI tracking systems to monitor the enclosures 24/7. This visualization shows how the AI generates movement heat maps based on live camera feeds. Just like analysts track professional soccer players to see if they're favoring the left flank or dropping back to defend, this system maps exactly where an animal spends its time, how much it plays, and whether it's isolating itself. When two rescued bears named Blue and Coco first arrived, they seemed highly anxious. By reviewing their behavioral tracking data, the staff realized the bears were stressed specifically by the height of the grass in their new habitat. They trimmed it down, and the bears immediately settled in. This translation extends to audio, too. Vantara uses a bioacoustics monitor powered by a small Raspberry Pi computer and a cluster of 4 directional microphones that instantly identifies the calls of over 6,000 distinct bird species in the area. They even place 3D printed decoy eggs directly into nests. These contain built-in gyroscopes and temperature sensors that constantly transmit data on exactly how a parent bird rotates and incubates its clutch. By capturing all these external cues, caretakers can precisely dial in the temperature, environment, and diet to create perfect living conditions, all without ever stepping foot inside the enclosure and disturbing the animals. While cameras and microphones read behavior, internal threats require a completely different approach. That starts in the toxicology lab, which acts as a checkpoint for the animal's food. Staff take 2-kilogram samples of nuts and seeds and run them through high-performance liquid chromatography machines. This process separates the liquid compounds to hunt specifically for mycotoxins, dangerous fungi that can cause invisible, chronic poisoning over time. When an animal does get sick, the diagnostic process might look familiar. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the world relied heavily on PCR tests to detect viral material in our bodies. Vantara runs similar diagnostics for their patients, except they use an upgraded system called Droplet Digital PCR. It's a fully automated machine that eliminates human handling errors to provide highly accurate, reliable results. The machine takes a single biological sample and fractures it into 20,000 microscopic droplets. It then analyzes every single microdot independently to hunt for trace amounts of bacteria, dangerous viruses, or hidden tumor markers. By fragmenting the data down to this microscopic level, the lab gives the veterinarian teams the exact chemical coordinates of an illness, information the animal could never communicate on its own. Once the lab identifies the precise issue, the medical teams step in to treat it using human-grade surgical technology. Inside their large animal operation theaters, surgeons utilize 3D exoscopic robotic arms. This system allows doctors to perform complex operations on high-definition screens. Such stability is vital for microspinal surgeries, where a single millimeter of error causes permanent nerve damage. For cancer treatments, they use electrochemotherapy. Instead of performing highly invasive surgeries to cut out superficial tumors, doctors insert small electrodes directly into the mass, delivering targeted electrical pulses that destroy the cancer cells from the inside. By deploying this level of medical hardware, Vantara replaces subjective observation with data-driven precision, bridging the gap between veterinary medicine and the standards of human care. Decades ago, the Human Genome Project mapped our entire genetic code, giving doctors a massive database to understand human diseases and development. But in the world of wildlife conservation, there is a massive blind spot. We simply don't have a comprehensive equivalent genetic database for most wild animals. Inside Vantara's Wildlife Research Lab, a machine called the PacBio Sequel is working to fix that. It's a high-throughput genome sequencer, actively tracking and logging the exact DNA structures of the species in their care. This expanding library of genetic information reveals how specific species adapt to environmental shifts, providing the data necessary to stabilize highly endangered animal populations. We often view technology as a wedge between humans and the natural world. At Vantara, silicon chips and genome sequencers are instead being used to close that distance, giving a permanent voice to those who have none.